Typical, as you've been stating, that some of the points raised by me were right onto your mind. It's the same situation. I've loved your example of a giraffe, being asked to climb a tree with the monkeys and the fish. This is where the international curriculum, I think, has tended to attend to the attention of every learner. Take, for instance, if your child is not very good in physics, that child could be very good in music. Try to develop that child's talent to the highest. But how do you get to do that when much of the equipment asked for cannot be accessed by you? What my fellow panelist indicated, that there is a lot of perception about the international curriculum. She's just developed one. My quick look at it, I said, this is world class. And the international curriculum in Uganda used to be associated with Europeans, up until when nationals came and started instructing our people in the manner that values our culture and also meets our aspirations. I must admit, I'm one of the pioneer teachers of the Cambridge program in Uganda, way back in early 2000. But people used to think the international curriculum is for Europeans or children being prepared to go abroad. But the bulk of the students in the international schools these days are local children. Yep. Parents who know or who have planned or who know what the future will be like, and they say, I rather sacrifice and take all what it takes to give my child the best. And is the best in terms of only the facilities? No. But the facilities also, we call it the environment, plays a key role in shaping up the child's development, whether cultural or social or academic. So you need to look at these schools not with a lot of cynicism. As my colleague has indicated, many people think that these international schools are very indisciplined. At least not in the ones that I know or where I have reasonable hand. Because what I wish for my child is what I wish for your child. I made sure that my children also go through the same system, and probably even in my very own school, so that I can clearly see whether I wish other people's children to get spoiled the way I'm doing to mine. And this majorly has to do with what people think, that international schools are for people who are working in the corporate world. I've seen many people who are in their private businesses. Farmers. I think I have several farmers who are educating their children in the international curriculum. Who planted trees? I think those, we have a lot of conversation with them, because I'm also a tree planter, where someone tells you, I planted those trees 8 or 10 years ago in preparation for my child to join the IGCSE, the International General School Certificate. Wow. My family is also watching. I can go on record that my daughter, who is 17 years old, knows where the money that is going to take her for her MBA abroad, where it is going to come from. Wow. Because she participated in the planting of the trees. We planted them, I think they're now 2 years old. And we expect that the time she completes her A-levels, do her bachelor's, and to go for the MBA, those trees would be rife for her to go and do her MBA. Wow. Some of us have buildings. You apportion the basement, or some of us have other investments. There will never be cheap education that will be qualitative. You who is there, Your parents were farmers. They used to struggle through the growing and drying and selling of coffee. And the cattle keepers. It's not a simple task, but they went through hard time to educate you. But today, you think you must have a high-paying job to be able to give qualitative education to your child. The issue now where people have been raising, how come the international schools, they call it, they were allowed to continue? You know, this COVID now has separated, for failure of the right word, I think I'll reserve it. It has separated the corn from the whatever, whatever it is. Because truly, when they said go online, the international schools were far already ahead because we're already using it. If you want children to do prep very well, you know, we started that 8-10 years ago. Allow the children to have the electronics, but not to listen to the music, but you give their homework in the drop box. The children will do the work very well without really much hassle. So the international schools were able to continue under the lockdown seamlessly because the systems could allow it. Even in the amidst the middle of COVID, you know, exams were taken because exams were online, and we had been using it. And even in the countries where you could not do it, there were other means of assessment that could be used for the children to proceed to the next level. Yeah. Right now, most of my teachers and other international schools teachers are marking what we call internal assessments, which one would call, say, mocks in Uganda. The mocks are very valid qualification to allow a child to proceed to the next level. How come children had to lose a year? But because there was no record, we always wait for the final examination in senior 4, final examination in senior 6, and when something like this COVID came, people were stuck. I'm sorry, our students in the international curriculum proceeded, many of them at the university, who took their exams in May, June 2020, because it was possible. Not even the government in Uganda could stop it. Because you have no control over somebody. Even yesterday, they took exams in my school. Even today, they are taking online examinations, and which are very valid, because there's no way you do. They send you question number 1, you do it. After sending it back, they send you question number 2, and they time you, and that's what they did. So this has to do with which curriculum really has reasonable shock absorbers. You know, for the future. Yeah. You know, if you are still using the rigged springs for your car and they are the shock absorbers, get to know that any bumpy ride, it will hit you hard. At least if you are driving a 4MATIC Mercedes with the Airmatics, you hit the pothole and you really think it was tiny, but the car following you would get crushed in it. So it's up to you to design and decide that this is the product that I want to have in the future, and this is how to get there. It is no longer true that international schools are spoiling children, that children for the privileged. No. They are schools for those that planned for the future of their children. I don't mean you must amass a lot of wealth to take your child. It's up to you to decide. I either leave this, my daughter, who is a fish, drown in the water, can it? Or I allow it to flourish, swim and flourish in the water, even when the elephant can't. Yeah. Because our system mostly deal with elephants. What she called judging a giraffe, a monkey, and a fish onto how to climb, by how well they can climb. The international curriculum is tailored for each individual child. Whether it is in mathematics, you will do your core mathematics. Whether it is in science and you are gifted, you will do your extended. If you are not very good in the language, you will do English as a foreign language. If you are from a francophone background. So you are not all judged at the same level. And the level of success is very high. I'll end on this note to demystify sciences. because I can quantifiably state that the school where I am, Vienna College, about 85% of the A-level students are science students. Because I didn't do sciences, I'm an economist. But I have discovered when sciences, the curriculum is well prepared,
Yes.
well taught, and properly assessed, sciences are the easiest.
Yeah.
Forget about history, which we pass here. History is very difficult. It requires a lot of thinking skill.
Yeah.
History in Uganda is only easy because it is memorization. In which year did Shaka Zulu? And you write 4 essays. But otherwise, if we were to be assessed, in my school we don't do history. It is too difficult. Thinking skills, a child is tested up to the limit in the thinking skills. That's a no-go area. Go for physics,
Yeah.
which has known principles.
Yes.
And they are standard
Yes.
worldwide.